understand the future of understanding this new and trend plays a crucial role, and I love to sort of venture into the
Yeah.
trend side of the world. um, Before that, I really want to have you understand your perspective on what does the future of work really means to you. Like when we keep hearing the word a lot. I think the fun part was 3 years back we used to hear about future of work, and it was totally different thing. I think the pandemic happened, and what actually we want to and this is my personal journey. What I was hearing a lot about what future of work should be is pretty much like now the antithesis, like totally the negative of what we are seeing now, because we have seen us indulge into this dystopian IT all
Yeah.
around us phenomena. So from your vantage point and your personal and your organizational vantage point, what does really a future of work mean?
Yeah, and Vishal, I want to completely concur with what you've just said there. You know, back in 2016, I was speaking about the chaos that we're living through now. So we can't call that the future of work anymore. This is like our present reality. You know what I mean? So we've got to, I completely agree with you. We've got to start talking about a new future. I, I'd like to answer the question in two ways for you. I'd like to talk about a future that I would like to see and that I would like to be part of constructing and building. And then I think I'd like to talk about the realistic future that we're going to see play out if people don't take this seriously. So the future that I would really like to see is a future where we're not trying to go back to this very hard line between this is my personal life and this is my work life, but where everything truly is blended. And the way I see that like very practically playing out is in two areas. I see work moving into a truly, truly SWAT team type structure, okay, where work is no longer going to be structured around roles and specific tasks that are related to that role that are done by the same person over and over again. I see organizations moving into structures where it truly is going to become about real problems that need to be solved for customers in very specific timeframes. And the way people and employees are going to be put onto those problems is going to be in a SWAT team style. So it's like, what is the problem? What are the set of skills that we need to address this problem? And how do we go and very quickly find those set of skills, put them onto the problem, get them to solve it, and then that team disbands? You know, so work is going to become shorter, mission orientated in the way it happens. And people will be working for multiple organizations, solving multiple types of problems rather than be employed with one employer in one type of job. So we're talking about a very multi-careered future. The second thing that I see happening, coming more directly to speaking more directly to that very blended life, practical ways that I can see that playing out is, for example, I don't think Ubers or Lyfts or, you know, Aldos or any of these transportation type of companies will remain just transportation companies. I think those are going to become offices on wheels. I think, you know, we're going to see a very big shift in the transportation environment because of electricity and electric vehicles and the versatility of those vehicles to become different types of spaces and not just be vehicles, you know. So, you know, I think that is where we're going to see a very, very big shift, which is going to enable that blend, you know, because right now the infrastructure isn't there in the broader society to enable that complete and total intermeshing of work and life happening at the same time. But I think as electric vehicles and transportation completely evolve, that we are going to see that shift happening.
Interesting. So back I think back in I think we're talking about 2016. What a fun time it was.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to I was addressing a graduating class, and I was talking about the future and how they are venturing into what they should keep in mind. And at that point I jokingly said, hey, future of work is not about the future or the work, eh, in a very interesting way, right? So it is about actually the people. It's actually about you guys, because it's about understanding humans understanding, because now we have done enough for the technology where it's almost like a juicer, right? So we have know how
Yes.
to extract the last piece of bit from a human and leave it as a pulp, right? So but now we have done that. Now the next level is, can we beautify, can we make us useful in a way that it's not like a juicer phenomena of work, where actually we actually extract a meaningful life and the work out of these individuals. And then the pandemic thing happened, and obviously the juicer is back in the business. But now I think I want to know your perspective on, when we were dealing with HRs, when we were dealing with organizations who are struggling or grappling to get their
Mm,
hands around this new and emerging realities, which are always emerging and new. What are some of the struggles that you are seeing? Like, what are some of the things that you have seen, organizations that reach out to you share, that you say,
mm,
okay, those are some easy fix.
mm. I'm going to answer your question in three layers, because I think it would be remiss to not answer it in all of these three layers. So the first layer is at the strategic leadership level inside organizations. If you think about, and I'm going to use technology as an example here, okay? When technology became a thing, like way back in the early 1990s, programs were just written and the UI UX experience of the user engaging with that technology wasn't considered at all. .com bubble happens and people are like, okay, we've got to completely revise this and we've got to think about how we retain people inside products and how we actually make products sticky. And so you see this whole evolution of UX and UI design coming in, and people realizing that that's how you create an experience for a user, and that's when you create stickiness inside a product. Human resources is going through that exact change right now. We've, up until now, people have just been thought of as things, that objects that are recruited and brought into a company. They're paid, and because they're paid, they therefore have to produce. That has been the general, mentality around work. What's now happening is companies are very quickly coming to the same realization that technology did back in the early 1990s. It's about creating employee experiences. Okay. And as thoughtfully as what products are designed today, HR and particularly strategic HR, your CHROs, your chief people officers are actually having to develop that skill set, that design skill set around how do I create and craft an employee experience that an employee who has multiple options decides to come because of the employee experience that's created. The second layer that I want to answer your question from is from what I term the process and the system lens. So it's the actual the insides of the operations of a company. We really, and this is something that I mentioned earlier in our conversation, is you can't just expect people to function in Zoom for 8 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's going to backfire. People are going to burn out. And so there's this and I would say that this is perhaps one of the most challenging things that companies are grappling with right now is, how do we take the existing technology in its very nascent format and actually make it truly usable by our employees? Because it's not optimal. So how do we live in this like V1 state and still, be like layer our good employee experience into that? And then alongside that, which plays into your world and your expertise, Vishal, is the reality that we are working alongside bots today. Um, and, I don't think HR people have fully sat down and accepted that. Like, you will be recruiting bots in your future. You will be going out and finding bot companions for your employees. Are you building your recruitment mechanism to do that? Are you designing job specs in a way that enables you to do that. Because I think in the future, if you think about a Gen Z person, they're going to walk into a job and say, okay, you've given me this job spec. These are the problems you want me to solve. But which pieces are my human pieces and which pieces are the automated bot pieces? And who is my bot counterpart that's going to be working with me on this? That's the area there that they're grappling with. And then at the third level, it's the human level. It's the very individual human level. And I want to talk about our schooling systems here. I believe our schooling systems are failing the people who are emerging into the workforce today, in that they're not preparing them to navigate significant, recurring, ongoing change.